unity is born out of the desire from every individual member of the family to contribute in their own unique field, their willingness to become better. And I'm talking about family in the broader sense here, because one of the problems that we are experiencing nowadays is how the institution of family and relatives have become so dysfunctional that is affecting on how a lot of people are living. So you need to improve yourself to make yourself a better candidate to live in. So we need to spend time investing on our social personal development so that we are able to become beings or individuals that people can enjoy spending time with, relating with, and sharing issues with. I mean, part of the problem when you want to check first of all, on the health of your sphere of your social circle is to find out how many people within your sphere you are comfortable with in sharing with them your purest feelings. Hello and welcome to Expansion Revolution Nagas. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is an exciting day and we are talking personal development. This is a personal development series. And I've told you my objective. My objective is to empower you to be able to make significant improvements in your life that can make you to become better. I've used a very simplified version and explanation of what personal development is. It is a science of self-improvement. How do you make yourself better? How do you attain the skills that you don't have? How do you improve on your current competencies to become more sellable, more employable, and more attractive, and more godly? I think I need to add this one because it is important that in our quest for self-development, we recognize that we need to be able to pay attention to improve and work on our godliness. So that we become what God wants us to be. I want to move today to how we need to develop ourselves as family members or as people who are found within the institution of family. Now, one of the reasons why I want to deal with that is to help you recognize that the model of a successful family rises from the unity that the family is able to create. So that unity is the key a requirement for a successful family. But unity is born out of the desire from every individual member of the family to contribute in their own unique field, their willingness to become better. And I'm talking about family in the broader sense here, because one of the problems that we are experiencing nowadays is how the institution of family and relatives have become so dysfunctional that is affecting on how a lot of people are living. So you need to improve yourself to make yourself a better candidate to live in. One of the other categories I can classify this, I'm dealing with it at the subsectional level of family, but we are purely dealing here with a social personal development, so that you pay your attention to the fact that you are a social animal that thrives on connection. And the question that I want to ask under this is, what are you doing to make yourself an easier person to live with within your networks? And that may be family, that may be relatives, but what are we doing to make yourself a person who is easier to deal with in your social networks? You know, how do people in your life deal with it, and what do they find interesting about you, or what skill or what contribution or what value are you giving out? I mean, how do people that are in your life, how are they perceiving you? That's a key thought. How are you perceived? Maybe let's look at you as a child. How are you perceived by your parents? Because we are having a very rising problem where parents and children, and these children may be adult kids, That's my use of that word. How are your parents and how are your relationship with them? What are you doing in your life to make yourself easy, to make it easier for you and your parents to be able to relate? I think that's a key area we need to deal with. And here's why I'm talking personal development, is because change is easier when it starts with you. I think that's powerful. Change is easier when it starts with you. Any sustainable change can exist only when it is from within and when it is being propelled and sponsored by your own willingness to maintain it. In other words, in order for you and your family members and people in your social networks to live right and to enjoy life, you need to be willing to improve yourself. You need to be willing to learn how to talk to people. You need to be willing to learn how to demonstrate a sense of emotional intelligence. You need to be willing to manage how you get irritated. You need to be willing to manage your own moods. But if you are not making any effort to deal with those from a personal sphere, then when people talk to you about areas where you need to improve, you feel irritated, and sometimes you would feel like people are just coming into a space where they should not be commenting on. So change is easier when it starts with yourself. And my question is, what are you doing to improve those areas that you are struggling on? And it's easier when you are able to take your own stock and make your own decision to improve those areas without anybody putting pressure on you to improve. And I think we can also apply this in terms of spouses when we are talking about husband or wife, or whether you're talking about relationships in terms of boyfriends and girlfriends, or any other relationship that you are in that you want to build towards a successful marriage. One of the things that you would need to be able to plant on that is willingness to work on yourself before your partner puts a lot of pressure on you to change certain things. Change and sustainable change is easier when you recognize, I need to work in myself in this area, and I need to work in myself in this area. And I think it's also wisdom for spouses in the context of marriage, and for those who are in relationship and we are building towards finding a sustainable means of relation, to learn to also take your own stock and recognize at a practical level areas where you need to improve yourself to make yourself an easy social animal to live with. Yes, I like that. Easy social animal to live with, so that people that are around you can easily connect with you, can easily bounce back their ideas with you, and can enjoy spending their space with you. So we need to spend time investing on our social personal development so that we are able to become beings or individuals that people can enjoy spending time with, relating with, and sharing issues with. I mean, part of the problem when you want to check, first of all, on the health of your sphere, of your social circle, is to find out how many people within your sphere you are comfortable with in sharing with them your purest feelings. I mean, like exactly how you are. And how many within your circle are also comfortable with sharing with you exactly how they feel, their feelings as they exist. That measures the purity and the maturity of the relationship, and the level of trust that exists in there, and the level of maturity that exists in there in dealing with issues. But how do we arrive at that level of maturity? Is when each individual in the cycle is working on herself or himself to make himself a candidate that people can trust with their own issues, and they can get objective feedback from them without necessarily feeling like they're being neglected. So that's important, and I think I want to stop here for today. Let's work on improving ourselves to become people that people within our social circles can find it easier for us to live with. So you have a role to improve yourself in your social circles. That include a family, that include friends around you, your first and your second session, and that include the love relationship that you might be involved in. It's important. God wants us to become the best versions of ourselves, and He has put the role of working on ourselves to us. Work on yourself. There are things that you need to pay attention to. There are weaknesses and mistakes that you can work on yourself to make up yourself. Now, this is not another gospel that does not recognize the work of grace, but this is the gospel that also recognizes a personal accountability of our lives to make things right and to improve how we do things. Thank you so much for joining me. You can like this and share it with your friends and people in your life. I can tell you this information can save somebody in your life and can end some of the conflicts that you are fighting over and that you are experiencing. Share it and let it empower people around you. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's see you next time.